Hey, Miko.
Hey,
You know how they say the revolution will not be televised?
I've heard that. Yeah, I think I read that on Wikipedia.
I think it's a load of bullshit.
Oh,
That's a load of bullshit, because this is Revolution X featuring Aerosmith, baby. Woo! So I'm here giving you a look at this game as well as the viewers at home, because you had never heard of this arcade classic until a few days ago. Can you explain how you first heard of it?
okay. So some of my Let's Play compatriots and my own little LP troop. One of them went to a Nine Inch Nails concert, and when I told Concordat this, he's like, the only thing I know about Nine Inch Nails is that they were a thinly veiled reference. Like, the enemy in this game was a thinly veiled reference to Nine Inch Nails.
Ah, yes, the New Order Nations, with the N at the end reversed.
Yeah.
A la the Nine Inch Nails emblem. But there's so much more to this game. There's so much more to love about this game. Because in this game...
Remember, music is the weapon.
Well, there you go. You heard it yourself from...
That was timed pretty much perfectly, I think.
Yep. That lady, by the way, on screen now is the same lady who plays Sonya Blade in Mortal Kombat 3, because this is another Midway game we're playing right now. I guess she recorded this in between mocap sessions for that.
Oh, of course.
Also, she plays some other roles in this game that we'll be seeing shortly as well.
I mean, how can you get more realistic than real actors in a video game?
That is true. I mean, basically, the early 1990s were the height of realism in games, and it's just all been downhill from there.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm glad we're getting back to it right now. We're sort of reliving the golden age, as it were. Okay, we're actually going to play this thing now.
Yes! Yes!
I'm not gonna lie to you, I'm a little bit scared.
Oh, you should be.
Oh boy.
New Order Base, New Order 12. Operation Exploitation underway. Proceed to objective. Cloak active.
So this is the arcade version, and this is a, in case you weren't aware, this is a rail shooter, which I have much love for rail shooters.
Wake up! The revolution has begun! Generation X is in effect!
You know, in fact, rail shooters might very well be my favorite subgenre out of all the subgenres of FPS. This is actually the DOS version here for comparison, by the way, which I went ahead and played the DOS version of this as well, for comparison purposes. Basically, I was worried about the music copyright in this game, so I figured I might as well play the DOS version without the music on. Which, conveniently enough, it turns out there is no music in the DOS version, or at least none of the copyrighted Aerosmith songs, so that's saving the trouble of having them muted and having to turn that volume down, which was just really convenient. Midway, you know, always looking out for the LPers.
Yeah, of course.
As it turns out. By the way, this DOS version, not great.
It sounds eerily silent, and I don't like it. It's freaking me out.
Yeah, just a little. Also, I should mention the mouse sensitivity, which, you know, is pretty essential when you're playing a PC first-person shooter, as it were, is awful. Just, there's no way to get it to feel good.
Yeah, I can tell just by looking at the video.
Oh, good, that comes across in the video, then. That's good, because I need the viewers at home to know that I'm not bad at light gun games. This game's just bad at being a light gun game.
So, what's with all the bumblebees on the screen?
Oh yeah, sorry about that. I smeared my screen with honey before I hit record on it. And back to the real version of this game, as I'll call it. I think this also came out on Genesis, Super NES maybe, PS1. Came out on everything, and I don't think any version of it was particularly good.
That's surprising.
So what do you think so far of this game? Does this look like a fun game to you? Do you think this looks
Not
like
really.
No, that's because it's not. That's because you have observed it accurately. Your assessment is spot on. This is a chore to play. I've read a lot of comments from people who like remember this game fondly, and a lot of nostalgia comments. Like, I remember playing this game in the arcade as a kid, kicks ass. People who have fond memories of this game, maybe should go back and play it, because it was around this point in the video that I wanted to stop playing. I just wanted to quit.
I can't say I blame you.
Right now!
But right before I let the timer run out, Steve Tyler, lead singer of Aerosmith, tells me to keep on fighting, and how could I possibly say no to him?
He doesn't want you to miss a thing.
So, yes, the Aerosmith is featured prominently in this game. Not in the soundtrack, though. You only hear 4 songs by them in the soundtrack, but they are the primary objective of this game. If you had paid attention to that text scroll earlier, you'd have found out that our objective is to rescue the members of Aerosmith so they can help us start a revolution Because Aerosmith, when I think Aerosmith, I think people qualified to help run a revolution, really. Is the first thing I think of is like Michael Collins, Fidel Castro, Che Guevara, Aerosmith.
Yeah.
Same sentence, yeah.
I mean, everybody knows Aerosmith is communist.
Yeah, of course. It's well established by this point. Just listen to the lyrics for Eat the Rich. I mean, really read between the lines on it. These dancing ladies are also that same actress from before who plays the primary antagonist of this game, as well as Sonya Blade in future games. So we'll be seeing a lot of her in this game in various different, scantily clad varieties, but take notice of how quiet this room is. And here we are in the arcade version, where we actually get to hear an Aerosmith song.
Oh, good.
So that's sorely lacking from that DOS version.
Does Aerosmith not notice there's a gunfight breaking out in their concert?
Yeah, the fact that they're able to continue to play uninterrupted, undaunted by all the death and destruction around them, pretty impressive, gotta hand it to them. You know, I think it's showmanship like that that's gotten them as far as they have, that's gotten them as big as they've become.
Do you have to fuck up their speakers, though?
Well, that's like, you gotta break basically everything in the game to find more CDs, which are your secondary ammunition, basically your grenades in this game. But of course, it takes CDs to break open things, so basically it's like you're paying a CD to check and hope if there's more CDs behind whatever you're shooting at, which is not a good system.
No, that sounds kind of flawed in a lot of ways.
In fact, CDs are like so vital for like destroying all the bosses in this game that like you want to just conserve them. You want to hold on to as many as you can. So basically, the only logical explanation is the developers are setting us up to fail. I mean, right?
No! Hands off, man. Hey! What the? Hey, back off!
Stop this nonsense now, if you don't want to deal with me.
Intimidating. So story-driven games, you know, this is where it really started to turn around for it, I think. Really the beginning of strong narratives in video games, if you ask me. What's your favorite rail shooter? Do you have a favorite rail shooter?
I mean, I've played a lot of House of the Dead 2 because everybody played that game.
I think it's an arcade staple for sure.
Mm-hmm.
For me, because I played a lot. One of my favorites, the one I've played the most, is Ghost Squad. If you're familiar with that.
No, I've never played Ghost Squad.
I've sunk hundreds of hours into that game. Arcade game, has a Wii version. As a matter of fact, there was a moment in time where I was in the top 100 of the worldwide leaderboard for that game, which has been a point of pride of mine for years.
If you're watching this, then they've taken over. It's up to you now. Find our car and stop the New Order.
Talk about breaking the fourth wall.
Remember, music is the weapon.
And just another reminder of the silence that is the DOS version, where sound effects also appear to be missing. Which just makes the whole package really eerie, in addition to being completely unplayable.
Yeah.
Which is a great combination. But yeah, you can see the logo there for the New Order, and how coincidentally similar it is to that 9 Inch Nails.
Yeah.
I've got to wonder if 9 Inch Nails and Aerosmith had like a feud going on or something, if Aerosmith had some issue with 9 Inch Nails. Alright, so our mission objective now is to commandeer Aerosmith's car, even though we're about to commandeer this helicopter, which to me this seems a bit more practical. Honestly, like I'd rather take the helicopter than the car. That's just me, maybe.
Yeah, that seems like it would be more useful.
Especially considering that our guy is such an adept pilot, that he can fly the helicopter and shoot at the same time. Alright, back to the real shit right here.
Mud flaps.
There's some real classy, fake company names in this. And that's part of the charm of 90s arcade games, to be fair. There's chock full of it. From the days before real, proper product placement in games.
This is a pretty realistic representation of Los Angeles.
True.
At least according to my own experiences. Which is driving through it without stopping on my way to Disneyland last summer.
So really, you got the in-depth, the full tour.
Yeah.
In that scenario.
Well, I mean, it was stop-and-go traffic, so yeah.
So while you were touring LA, did you visit the scenic NON Tower? Catch the view at the top?
No.
That's because it was shot up in this, as you can tell, in 1996 when this game takes place. So
Oh yeah, see,
they never bothered to repair it. They just sort of left it in a state of disarray. Really unfortunate, to be honest. I can go for some Taco Express right now, too, while I'm at it.
You and your taco obsession.
Yeah, says the guy who finished eating Taco Bell minutes before we started recording
Yes,
this thing.
and whose fault was that?
Alright, that's a fair point. That's totally a fair point. So, did I mention before that I love rail shooters? Love them a lot. Even some of the not-so-great ones. So, I've been known to give some bogus bullshit in these games a pass. But there's just something really off-putting and unfun about this whole package. Part of it has to do with these boss battles, which are just frustrating. Because whereas, most games would give a boss like a health meter, right? Give it some weak points maybe. Like, that's the standard formula, right? In this, you have to destroy literally every single component of the boss. So it might have like 20 weak spots that you have to blow up.
Jesus.
And it will not die until you blow them up. And basically, the only way to blow them up is the CDs, which do, let's say, roughly 100 billion times more damage than your bullets do. Give or take a billion. And for comparison, the DOS version, which is made more difficult by the fact that the mouse is just completely unusable, which makes hitting the key spots that much more difficult because the CDs do have to travel through the air. So all in all, this is a completely unplayable game on the DOS. Just literally unplayable, which is very impressive.
I have no words.
Yeah, can't blame you. Really not much to say about a fight like this, where it's just shooting the same target over and over again and hoping something finally blows up at some point. Not exactly exciting.
It's a pretty sweet ride.
Now that I've seen the car, yeah, I could see trading in a totally functional helicopter for this. Seems like a fair trade. So, as you can tell from that, there are some hostages we have to rescue at some point, but there are none in these first two levels as far as I'm aware, so...
Looks like you made it. Where you go from here is up to you.
Now this is interesting, because we do get to select where we want to go next, including the scenic Pacific Rim.
I love Pacific Rim.
No, this is a more specific Pacific Rim.
These guys are maggots. They're putting chemicals in all our food.
Inspired line reading.
What? No!
So here we are in the Amazon. So we took our car to the Amazon here, as you can tell, instead of the helicopter, so just want to reiterate again how bad an idea this was. And can you guess what enemies we're going to be facing here? Well, that's right, horrible, offensive stereotypes.
Oh, this is sad. I don't like this.
Literally spear chucking. This is a whole new level.
Wow.
This is just awful. This is the point where I really wanted to stop playing, where I reconsidering this whole thing.
Maybe you should have gone to the Middle East instead. See how they handled that one.
Surprisingly more tactfully than this. It's around this point, by the way, where I'm also editing for time, condensing some of the longer stretches of the level, because that sequence goes on for like 3 whole minutes with you in the forest, so I decided to sort of skip through some of that.
Yeah, don't blame me for that.
The respawning enemies here is like them popping out of the same spots where you just killed their compatriots. And I should also mention that there's no, like, frames for them to warm up before they start damaging you. The second they appear on screen, you're already getting hurt.
So, like, what's the point of even killing them?
Yeah, I know, right? It just makes the gameplay seem, like, totally futile. Well, I mean, I guess the reason is that you need to kill a certain number of enemies in order to progress the screen. But yeah, it's not satisfying at all when the second you kill a dude, another dude just pops up. And there's nothing you can do to avoid damage in this game. The best you can do is just kill the enemies quickly, hope one of these boxes drops, and hopes it has, like, the health or the shield inside of it. Which is very rare. So again, many arcade games are set up in a way where they're difficult, where they want to, like, munch your quarters, right? The problem here is, this game doesn't even try to hide it. It's just totally blatant about it. But it's also totally boring, which is a bad combination. Speaking of boring, why is nothing happening here? Why is no one attacking us? Is out of nowhere a moment of calm.
I love how they have security cameras in here for no reason.
The reason is so you can shoot them and get another bundle of CDs. That's the only reason. And this is another mini-boss here. You can tell because I'm wasting all of my CDs on it that I've collected over the course of the past 15 minutes or so. Also the fact that this is the third time we faced this APC before. So if you were in the arcade and you saw this game, would you want to run up and play it? Would you want to put your quarters in this machine?
No, I don't want to play this.
Can't blame you. And again, I just have to reiterate that people remember this game fondly. Nostalgia is a hell of a drug.
Yeah.
Oh, and you want to talk about product of the times, the upgraded version of the CDs are laser discs.
Oh man, I remember
1993, folks.
I remember my high school had a Laserdisc player in the biology room. It was a good time.
Watch any good movies there?
No.
Did they come out with educational films on Laserdisc? Was that a thing?
I guess so, because we did watch some educational films, but none of them were any good.
Did they take advantage of the Laserdisc medium?
I mean, they were...
Did they have special features up the wazoo?
I have no idea. You should probably ask my biology teacher.
Get him on the horn, email him. We need answers to these
He
questions.
doesn't work in my high school anymore. I don't know how to contact him.
So I need to cut back to the DOS version here because this sequence here, the arcade version isn't this difficult to progress. It doesn't stick here for... this is 4 times speed. This sequence lasts about 30 seconds, I think. I cut this. I edited it down to. So this lasts for however many minutes that translates to, like 2 minutes. Until I realized that the only way to progress in this version of the game is to shoot the pillars with the CDs, which is not conveyed in any capacity whatsoever.
Yeah, that's weird.
Which in the arcade version, that doesn't happen. You just gotta kill a certain number of dudes and it just moves you on automatically. So I don't know what the discrepancy there is, but it's not welcome.
Wow!
So this is a hell of an Aerosmith game, right? You know, the green skeleton, which is made so famous by Aerosmith.
Yeah.
Well represented here, for all the die-hard Aerosmith fans out there. Aerosmith doesn't have much to do in this game, as you may have gathered, except for read some lines to you. They don't even provide the soundtrack. Like, that's the thing I have to stress here, is that, like, there are 4 songs by them in this game, and they are, like, 30-second samples, and they play at, like, 4 points in the game, and that is it. In the DOS version, you are treated to silence for most of the game. In the arcade version, you get generic rock minis.
Yeah, because when I buy an Aerosmith video game, I expect there to be no Aerosmith songs whatsoever.
So here are some hostages we can actually rescue. Again, played by the same lady, because they could only get one actress willing to pose for all this different stuff, wear all these skimpy outfits, degrade herself for this terrible, tasteless video game.
Hey, she really likes Aerosmith.
She did it for the band, man. Toys in the Attic helped her through some really tough times in her life, and she just wants to give back to the band, man. So this is some generic conspiracy bullshit about, you know, the poisoning the food supply, using it as mind control, hitting every just cliche they possibly can.
The box isn't even open. Like, come on.
They're just pouring the goop all over the box. What's it accomplishing?
This is making the box all sticky and gross.
It's all a part of the process. We, the sheeple, we're not supposed to understand. So this part is pretty tedious. You have to destroy this entire machine. But by this point, I'm out of CDs. I've used up my discs on other things.
So we're gonna be here a while, got it.
Yeah. Again, not well conceived, not really planned out all too hot. In fact, you could say it's pretty poorly planned.
Yeah, definitely.
I think I've done a better job conserving my discs in the DOS version. I had something like 300 there. And again, here's another spot in the arcade version where we're going to run into a bit of a predicament. I should also mention that this game runs on the same engine as the Terminator 2 arcade game.
I have played that.
Funnily enough, didn't care much for that game either. Almost as if they're the same game with different sprites. At any rate, the CDs in this game work like the grenades from that game. So I think the boss here is supposed to be reminiscent of the T-800 Terminators, you know, the skeleton-looking ones.
See, I figured we were shooting a representation of the Misfits.
Ah,
'cause they're
right!
not
The
Aerosmith.
band wars, the Aerosmith Misfit wars of the early 90s.
Yeah, I remember that. That was a thing, right?
That was a weird time in music history when they were like doing diss tracks on each other. I mean, who can forget the classic Misfits track? Steve Tyler, more like Steve Dyler.
Yeah, that does sound like a Misfits song title, actually.
Yeah, it kind of does, doesn't it? So this is a lot easier to do in the DOS version, where I managed to save my CDs up until this point. I eventually do in the arcade version. We're faced with yet another boss immediately thereafter. Again, evoking just the rich lore of Aerosmith, really taking advantage of the history of the band to make a game that really like appeals to the hardcore fans of Aerosmith and entomology. Look it up, people. So, you may be interested to hear there was a sequel planned to this game. Yes, a Revolution X2, if you will.
Oh, boy.
Which was planned to feature Public Enemy in place of Aerosmith. That they wanted to turn this into a franchise.
I would play the shit out of that. I don't
kinda
even care
would
how bad
too.
it is. Yeah.
I want Chuck D yelling at me about how I need to kill all the dudes on the screen. That would be a hell of a motivator.
No, because Flava Flav is the hype man.
True. We would just rescue Chuck D in one of the levels.
And he
that would
wasn't
be
quite
it.
as much of a cartoon character as he is now, back then.
Different times.
Thank you, Flavor of Love.
The formative years for Flava Flav.
Mm-hmm.
Give up! Let's go!
So here's a boss that, you can use all your CDs on. Here's another fucking trap in this game, that you can waste all your CDs on this guy to no avail. Can you figure out what we need to do here? Well, I guess I accidentally get to it a bit sooner than to give you time to guess it.
Is it shoot the pillars for the bridge?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, exactly. Bye!
That's some Looney Tunes shit right there.
Yeah, no kidding. Wile E. Coyote running off the cliff and looking back. And what do they call the other enemy types in this level? I think we'll see in a second. The Berserkers? No, the natives. There we go.
Jesus.
Ugh. Just... ugh.
Should we talk about good games that have Aerosmith in them?
Is there one?
Saints Row 4. That's all I got. It's just Saints Row 4.
Stop the New Order bus.
They play Don't Want to Miss a Thing in the intro mission.
That is true. That is pretty good use of Aerosmith, I want to say. I like Joey's order here of just stop the bus. That's all we get. It's all the directive we need, and then just from that we know to go to the Middle East and to take care of business. Okay, so this level is torture. I cannot beat this.
Is that why the video has 2 minutes left?
Yeah.
Gotcha.
So this is another boss. This entire level is the boss here. We need to destroy every single piece of this bus, except for the wheels, which are invulnerable. Somehow.
It seems like the wheels would be the first thing to go.
Yeah, you would think so, right? And along the way, we have to constantly manage our speed by shooting these buttons at the top of the screen. And this whole thing is just a nightmare and is just impossible.
It's a cacophony of madness. It's the only way I can describe it.
And bear in mind, we have a time limit on this too. And, you know, you can run out of CDs at some point, which is basically a death sentence. And so, yes, I defy anyone who says they enjoyed playing this game, who have fond memories of it, to try playing it now. Try playing this level. This is do me a favor. Try playing this level again. See if you can get past this. See if you can, stop the bus.
Oh, I just noticed you're on a time limit too.
Oh, yes, of course. That green bar there, we only have so many yards to go. And it looks like I've made pretty good progress here, right?
Nope.
No, I mean, all we have to shoot are the windows. I mean, that should be it, theoretically. I don't see anything else that really I have left to damage here. At least that doesn't look obvious to me, anyway. And see, like, nothing's flashing anymore, so nothing's taking damage. And we have enough time to stop and pick up a member of the band. I guess. I guess the bus isn't that big a priority.
Well, the bus seems to have waited for us, so that was nice of them.
That's what makes the NON the courteous, respectful totalitarian dictatorship, don't you think? So at this point I can't find any more points of damage on the bus because, as I established, the wheels don't have anything you can really do to them. So it's at this point that I lose. I lose. I do not beat this. Sad to say.
It was a valiant effort.
And I blew it. Now 50 kids are gonna die. And that's about the time where I say, screw this. I don't bother playing that level in the arcade version, because at this point I'm just totally done. That's all of Revolution X I can take. And hopefully I sated your curiosity about this game, as well as anyone else who might consider playing this. Don't play this game.